Welcome back, everyone. The chapter we'll be discussing today is going to be a real lore-heavy one, so I am not going to waste any time. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you want to see more versus content from me. Now let's begin. We'll first see Zabi laying out the basic facts of this situation, that 13 worlds have been merged together, and they are all facing some kind of a threat. They also agree to call those threats natural enemies, and we begin going through each world. Sorcerion, whose natural enemy is the Great Demon King, and the lesser 47 Demon Kings, who rule most of the world. The Mecha Ordinance, whose enemy is basically rogue AI that has made its primary mission to wipe out humanity. Parasitica, whose enemy is a mysterious tumor-like parasite who have taken over most of humanity. The Titan's Crown, whose enemy is the Titans, who's just have overwhelming physical power and have enslaved all of humanity. The disastrous Metropolis, whose enemy is a kaiju that has just been destroying countries across the world, and none of the governments can stop it. Celestia, whose enemies are aliens that invaded the planet, and they are desperately trying to fight them off. Gaia's Wrath, which on their planet, nature has just started to go wild, making man-eating plants and super animals. Neoterra, where the regular humans are being ruled over by neo-humans, who have evolved to have better bodies and intelligence. Indignia, whose enemy is God, who is a manifestation of the people's devotion. The Cursed Lands, who has a curse that has been rotting and contaminating everything on Earth. Extremia, whose people seem to be addicted to the games they play. Land of the Lawless, whose whole society crumbled from wars and is now just rolled over by bandit gangs. And finally, Yggdrasil, whose enemy is the World Tree, which has been absorbing the life out of everything on the earth. After reviewing all of the natural enemies, Zabi asks if any of them have any ideas to get out of this situation, and is met by a room of silence. Hollow starts to think about the different battles they have been in, and what has saved them each time, and comes to a conclusion. He announces his idea, which is to pit all of their enemies against each other. Everyone brushes the idea off, thinking it's a childish idea, and they all begin to brag about how powerful their enemy is, but this gives Zabi an idea. Zabi further stokes the flames of the argument, and once everyone is fighting each other, he calls all of their attention to him, saying, "This is how we will get them to fight each other." It would be what they are doing now, but on a larger scale, and with all of them brainstorming on how to get it done. We then cut back over to Kiva, finishing off the robot he was fighting before, and resolves to find and kill Hollow, because of how much trouble he has now caused him. Alright, now let's get on to the discussion. Alright, first let's go over and talk more about the 13 worlds. And I'm caught up on the series, but I won't spoil anything for the future chapters. Sorcerion seems to have the most thought put into it right now, with it being the first world we were introduced to. It has a wide variation of demons that I will talk about and categorize in a future video, with the main threat being the Great Demon King and the 47 Lesser Demon Kings. It's basically a fantasy game where there are hundreds to maybe thousands of mid to late game bosses like Kiva. Then the 47 Demon Kings are the end game bosses on the hardest difficulty. And the Great Demon King is the post game super boss like the ones in Final Fantasy games. The Mecha Ordinance is a classic sci-fi trope of AI going wild, similar to the Terminator series. They are my personal favorite faction, since they have a lot of potential to learn quickly and adapt to the new world they live in. I am curious to see how many levels there are to them, since we've only seen 2 so far. Parasitica seems like it could be a zombie apocalypse on steroids, honestly. They seem like they can terraform the environment, and anything that is flesh-based may not be able to stop them from infecting them. It would be even worse if they have some kind of hive mind as well. The Titan's Crown's natural enemy are basically supergiants that beat out humanity in any kind of physical attribute, since the one we saw seems like it could have even killed Hollow. They also have enslaved humanity, so they do need them for something, or they would have just wiped them out already. I'm guessing they need them for slave labor and for a simple food source, since we saw the one we meet be pretty happy finding so many humans to eat. The disastrous metropolis basically has Godzilla, who it sounds like they tried to fight against it, but basically gave up because nothing they tried worked, and now it just roams around the world destroying anything in its path. Celestia has aliens, who invaded from outer space, and it at least sounds like they have been fighting back, but it hasn't been going well. Gaia's Wrath is basically like if the planet wanted to kill humanity by making all forms of nature more and more dangerous, killing off and pushing back humanity until they are eradicated. Neoterra is another world I am interested in, with, I am guessing, neo-humans experimenting on themselves and eventually forcefully evolve themselves with genetic tampering, creating a new class of human. They now rule over what they see as lesser humanity and view them as playthings. Indignia, which we don't get much from, but it seems it may work similar to the Chaos Gods in Warhammer 40k, where the more it is prayed and worshipped to, the stronger it will become. And now it's got a lot more sentient species around to become potential worshippers. The Cursed Lands have the Curse, as they call it, and it basically is sweeping across the planet, rotting, contaminating, and just making the planet unlivable. Extremia seems to enslave their humans to video games, but we don't know for what reason or how it got to that point. Land of the Lawless, again, has humans as the natural enemy, but takes place in a post-apocalyptic era, where there are just roaming gangs of bandits ruling the land, very similar to Mad Max. Yggdrasil seems pretty simple, having a gigantic tree absorbing everything. I would speculate, though, that there could be creatures living on it, or maybe it produces something that either may be dangerous or may be beneficial to in some way, but still ultimately a negative for humanity. I did like that Hollow was the one to suggest that they pit the natural enemies against each other, thus giving us the reason for the title of the series. I also thought it was kind of funny that all of the other humans from different worlds were bragging about how strong their enemies were, and that the others pale in comparison to them. And we got some more information on the enemies through them arguing, so that was a cool way to exposit more information about them. And it's good they came up to the conclusion that if they fought the natural enemies head on, they could barely do anything to them. But by using all of their might to guide and or trick them into fighting each other is at least a more feasible goal. We also get a quick cut back to Kiva, and we get some power scaling here, with what seems like Kiva high-diffing the level 2 robot and the other level 1s that were in the area, because I don't see the lesser demons being able to do much to them. So we gotta look at all the known natural enemies for the series, and all of them seem somewhat interesting. I'm looking forward to see what one is going to do with them. But I think that's it for me right now. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content from me, and I look forward to talking with you guys in the future. I will see you guys later. Bye, guys.